Welcome back. Let's now switch gears, but still talking about the law. As I said, it's going to be a lot of talking the law today. We've been joined in the program via Zoom by Olukayode Adeluola. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. He joins us to make sense of the situation. Senior advocate, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's almost like me coming as a client to give you brief for you to help us make sense of what is going on. But let's start with the ones we just got up from. The issue of Ondo State. The court has actually nullified the LCDAs created, 33 of them, and the lawyers were there, those of them in the know, to give their perspective. What do you make of the situation?
Well, my learned colleagues have spoke very well, and I was glad they threw a lot of light onto the issue. Now, we'll say, well, what I'm concerned about is, why do we have states creating LCDAs? Our constitution has 3 tiers of government: the federal government, the state government, and the local government. And we have found that governors and in conjunction with houses of assembly, have been with ingenuity creating LCDAs. For what purpose? Sections 7 and 8 speak of the local governments, and particularly Section 8, subsection 4, tells us how we can create local governments or adjust the boundaries of existing local governments. You must have 2/3 of those who represent that area in the House of Assembly, and 2/3 of those who represent the area you intend to recreate as a local government in the local government council, presenting the proposal to the House of Assembly. So it's not about the governor wishing to create a local government or adjust the boundaries. The people, through their representatives, must indicate that desire and present it to the House of Assembly. If that is not done, then you're not following the provision of the Constitution. Of course, we expect that if people are representing communities, they should seek their consent, they should seek their approval by way of referendum, if possible, like the gentleman who represented the communities, I believe Mr. Babayele said. And that is the only way you can be assured that they are carrying to the front burner the desire and intention of the community and the people therein. But if we find situations where governors decide that they want to split up the state into smaller units, for political reasons, maybe, for administrative reasons, maybe, they must do so in accordance with the Constitution. The Constitution, to my mind, recognizes the local governments, recognizes the state governments, and recognizes the federal government. So if you want to enlarge the number of local governments that you have, they must do it in accordance with Section 8 of the Constitution. Otherwise, it will be an underhand way of splitting up local governments, perhaps those who have not been doing your bidding, and funding them where the funds really should be used for local governments rather than LCDAs. That's my take on this matter.
So, final one on this one. I did ask them, maybe you'll take a different perspective on this one. What should be done effectively and immediately based on the judgment?
There's no injunction restraining them from further creating local governments if they have to. What they probably need to do is get to the communities, get them to approve that they want local governments, get their representatives, 2/3 of their representatives, to present the proposal to the House of Assembly of Ondo State, who will then debate it and properly endorse it, and then get the assent of the governor. That's the way to go.
Let's move on to the issue that we saw happened in Kano, where the Federal High Court, Justice Lehman, has given his judgment or his ruling on this particular issue of the Kano State Emirate Council law. And, it was repealed. The 2019 law was repealed, and then which technically removed the additional emirates and reinstated Mohammed Sanusi II as the Emir of Kano. And now that is still in contention. My concern here is the issue of status quo, which the Lord Justice made mention of. What will be the interpretation of status quo? Because I said they should maintain or return to status quo. What is that?
Status quo will mean the position as at the date the judge was making his pronouncement. So the question is, what was the status quo at that time? I would believe that the status quo at that time would be that a new law was in place that had repealed the old one, cancelling the 4 emirates. So if he says the status quo must be maintained, that would be the status quo. Unless, of course, he's saying that I have annulled the new law repealing the first one, the old one to 2019 law of the state of Kano State. But then again, you see, we as lawyers, I wonder if we should find ourselves in this kind of situation again and again. What is the Federal High Court to do with Chief Justice matter?
Yes, I wanted to ask that question about jurisdiction, Leonard Silk, because I think the language I saw, they say maintain status quo. I wanted to ask the question about jurisdiction. Does the Federal High Court has the jurisdiction to hear cases of chieftaincy title?
Well, we know that that is not correct. The court that will have jurisdiction will be the state high courts. You know, the Federal High Court has this jurisdiction clearly stipulated by the Constitution, issues about monetary policies, customs, taxes, maritime law, and what have you. But when it comes to chieftaincy matters which are localized to a particular state, my candid view, it would be the state government, the High Court of the state, the relevant state, that should have jurisdiction. Be that as it may, once a court makes a pronouncement, we're almost obliged. So we go back to the issue about whether the status quo should be as at when the law was passed, or as at the time he made his own pronouncement as a judge in his court.
Okay. This also brings to the issue of the powers of the local government or the state assembly to make laws, to the effect that it's for the good of the people. When you juxtapose what is going on with the judgment, the ruling today that talked about maintaining status quo, with the powers of the state assembly to make laws, what do you make of that particular nexus between it?
You see, then again, we also must say that our courts must recognize that the legislature and the executives have their role to play, and they must not, stop them from playing the lawful and constitutional roles that they have. The House of Assembly of Kano State has the function as stipulated in the Constitution to make laws for the good governance of the state. The High Court must ensure that in making their own pronouncements, they do not stifle the powers or the authority of the House of Assembly to make laws, because the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive must have checks and balances, and that's why we have this kind of democracy which we're running. But at the same time, the High Court must be careful in making pronouncements not to seem that they are bosses of the House of Assembly. No, they are not. They must interpret the law and ensure that good laws which have been passed are maintained.
So, maybe beyond the law, because we've seen politics play into all of this. We saw it in the time of late Abubakar Rimi. We've seen it in the time of Abdullahi Ganduje, and now a time of Abba Yusuf. What kind of framing of legislation as concerning traditional institutions is too that can help insulate political interference with traditional institutions? Because it's difficult to look away from politics playing out in this situation. I'm not just talking about the pronouncement of today. I mean the entire series.
You see, like I always say, no matter what laws you pass, no matter what constitution you have, the people working these laws and the constitution must be sincere, because every law will have one loophole or the other somewhere, which you can take advantage of. People will be ingenious, and of course, we lawyers are the ones, unfortunately, who advise people on what to do and what not to do. So the people who are made to work these laws should be the ones who must be sincere and look at the essence of the laws which have been made and for the good governance of the people. But then again, we also have people who will look at the laws, who will look at the Constitution, and encourage the governors to pass laws or to present bills to the State House of Assembly that are not necessarily in the interest of the people. And so, where does that take us? We must begin to see that our democracy is not about individuals. It must be about institutions, it must be about the people, it must be about our communities. And until when we begin to see that, we'll make these mistakes. Otherwise, we're going to have musical chairs. If you have the Emir of Kano reinstated today, another governor who is not on his side, quote unquote, could come tomorrow and remove him. For how long do you intend to do this?
So let's say, as we begin to wind down, what if parties, they say maintain status quo, which appears sometimes to be a subject of multiple interpretation? What if all parties are defiant and these things we see going on since this incident started remain the same? What then happens? Do you think that all sides have a reason to grandstand based on what legislation they are looking at?
Yes, I like the word you use, grandstand. But you see, the fact is that when it comes to interpretation, they should simply go back to the lawyers and ask what they believe the court said. If there's any doubt, they should go back to the court for interpretation of the pronouncement. Otherwise, it would mean that somebody is in contempt of the pronouncement of the court, and the consequences are very clear in law.
Some people are saying, so let's just bring it to bear. Some people are saying this means Sanusi has again been removed. Others say Ado Bayero has been reinstalled, all of this. In your legal, I know you've tried to answer the question the best way you can. What does this mean?
So at the time the Honorable Judge made his pronouncement, Sanusi was the emir. If I to go by that, maintaining status quo would mean that he should remain as emir. It was not a reversal of the law or a repeal of the law. It simply was a maintenance of status quo. If that is it, then it would mean that Sanusi should remain the emir of Kano. Unfortunately. Situation. So,
in winding down, as we begin to wind down, we also are looking at the social outlook and social impact of some of this decision. What do you think, how do you think this is going to affect the cohesion in the city of Kano and the entire state in general, given this back and forth that has been on for a while? Now we have now seen a new pronouncement. Now we've been talking about the emir, the palace, the politicians and all of that. The people themselves, what should they be looking at? What should be their own line of action in interpreting and internalizing the situation on hand?
Honestly, I sympathize with the people of Kano, particularly those who are not lawyers and those who are not politicians, who simply want to go about their lives. They want to know who is their emir. They want to know who they should pay obeisance to. They want to know who they should recognize. And today they wake up and find that somebody else is said to be emir, and another day is another emir. It's not fine, it's not fair, it's not good at all. And I think those who are causing this division amongst the population, the politicians and those in government, should consider the fact that when things really gets to a head and there's commotion, everyone will suffer. So I think we must get to a point where people who are in charge should sit down and say, look, we need to have one emir. Who is that under the law? Not just about the law, but who do we want? Who do the people want? Can they have a referendum in Kano? But then again, would that be in line with the tradition and culture of the Emirates? I don't think so. So, as I said, no matter what law you pass, the people who work it must be sincere in ensuring that they do what is just, fair and equitable.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ms. Lukayode Adelola, thank you so much for joining us via Zoom from London. Thank you so much. We had to pull you in to make sense of the situation. There are so many issues that needs legal interpretation and understanding, from Ondo, as we've seen, to the issue of Kano. And then Rivers State, there was a Court of Appeal decision, but we don't have time to get. We've been talking about it literally for the first 3 days of the week. Now the judgment has been reserved for another day. So maybe at that point, we'll begin to make sense of what's going on with all the legalese as far as subnationals are concerned. We must thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, to your usual company, I'm Jeffrey Uzonga. God bless Nigeria.